Good to go?
Yes.
All right then, it's 9:35. We'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask everyone to make sure your cell phones are on vibrate or quiet mode anyways. And if anyone can put their devices on mute, I think Bianca's asked you anyways, but just so it doesn't disturb the meeting. I'll remind council of declaration of pecuniary interest if it arises. And we have minutes here from the July 6th meeting. I'll look for a motion to receive those minutes if they're in order. Moved by Councillor Webb, seconder. Councillor Pomeroy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. With that, we're going to move right into delegations. We have 2 delegations today that are listed, and I'm not sure if anybody else is wanting to speak, but we'll start off with Jenna Tremble. She was calling in with regards to the bottle drive fundraiser. Is Jenna here?
She's just connecting.
There she is.
Yeah.
There you go, Jenna.
Hey.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Okay. You requested to be a delegation to discuss your fundraiser you're doing.
Yes, we are doing a bottle drive for the Havelock Figure Skating Club, and I was hoping that we would get permission to put a trailer at the dump, transfer station 6 on 6th line there, and to help collect bottles for the bottle drive, and cans too, alcohol bottles.
Yeah, I know you have done this. You and Debbie were doing it for scouts and figure skating.
Yeah.
And I think you talked to Kevin or somebody, and he said to go through this route. Yeah.
So I talked to Kevin just to kind of figure out what he thought of it, because he obviously is there manning the whole time. So he said that it's been tried before, and some people didn't have success, I guess, in getting permission. I'm not sure exactly on that end, but yeah. So he said just contact council and see if they'll let you. And I said, okay.
Well, it's something we've been talking about for quite a few months and trying to figure out how we could do it. So it's kind of timely, but like you say, it's up to council. We did worry about some logistics, and the thing about putting a trailer in there, I don't think that's been discussed with council. We've seen it in other townships where they have like a bin that they put the bottles in and somebody comes in and collects them, but we haven't worked that part of it out. But it sounds like an idea to try, but it's up to council here. So I'm going to open it up to council to see if they have any concerns or suggestions or ideas. So has anybody from council got anything they wish to speak to about this? Hart, and then Dave.
Yeah, I agree kind of with your sentiments, Jim. This is something we as council have talked about for, I don't know, getting better part of a year. I know with this endeavor, it's mostly the figure skating club and the scouts that are involved, but council talked about this in broader terms, in terms of maybe getting all the local organizations to be a part of this at some point. But as a kickoff, I think this might be a good kind of pilot project for us to run. I'm sure we're all aware of the financial straits that the figure skating club is in, based on the COVID situation from the end of last season. So they're doing everything they can to try and make up for that monetary downfall, and I commend them for that, especially during these times. It's not easy to be out, to be raising money. Yeah, I would support this.
Okay, Dave, you had a comment? You're muted. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Thank you for the time here. Just to further on with Councillor Webb's comments. I don't have a problem with this. I think it's a bunch of volunteers trying to do the best thing they can for the municipality. The only thing that that I would ask that we check into is to make sure Kevin is okay with this. First of all, that he has a spot that is not going to interfere with the traffic that flows in and out of there, and also the dumpsters when they come and pick them up and so on. So if he's got a spot, the other thing that I would ask is that we are covered insurance-wise, that we're not going to get into a legal problem if somebody gets hurt in there, because this is not our trailer. So if we can cover those bases, I don't have a problem with it. With the fact that I think Jen has put it up until September. This won't be an ongoing thing forever and ever. We'll have a timeline on it, because council at some point in time said they were going to decide to do something for all the organizations. So if that can be met, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It would have to be referred to staff for something to happen as soon as possible. If that's at least they'll know council doesn't have a problem with it, as long as we make sure everything's in order as far as insurance and liability and things like that. And I'm sure Kevin just wanted to make sure that council would be okay with it. Larry, you had your hand up?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. I was just curious whether the skating or whoever is going to be doing the drive, are they going to be part of the day there, in and out, be some support and control to the collection?
Yeah, I'm not sure what Jenna had thought. It sounded like it was something that you would go in on on a daily or whatever, because we wouldn't want a big pile of bottles overflowing off of the trailer or whatever. That might cause a mess and maybe a lot of glass and things around. So I don't know whether you've worked out that part of it, but it's hard to tell how fast they're going to come in, but it would have to be kept up with, I think, Jenna?
Yeah. So my plan was, once I got permission from you guys, then I was going to go and talk to Kevin and see basically how he could go about doing it. My thought was that the trailer should be big enough that we should be able to go in there maybe once or twice a week and pick it up and haul it out of there and then bring it back empty. I don't know if I'm glitching out there. Am I? Am I glitching out?
It's breaking up a little bit there, but we got what you're saying there. And we do have Peter on the line.
Yes.
Too. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, Bob, you had your hand up there?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. So if council is so inclined, staff would recommend that this be approved as a pilot project under the condition that all insurance is looked after and all safety protocols are followed. And as long as all of that is happening, we are happy to support this endeavor as a pilot project. We'll see how it goes and probably look to expand it in the future.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Like everybody said, we want to help the whole community. So this would be the start of maybe a good thing, and might prove to be a bad thing. But at the beginning here, it looks like it could be a good thing for all our community groups, and you would be the start of it, Jenna. But if everything goes well. Did you have your hand up, Larry?
Just a comment, I guess. Now, I think Deputy Mayor Giroux covered the key points there about safety and the insurance and so on. And if Jenna's group are going to be part of controlling how it operates, that's great. And then I would make the motion that CAO Bob Angione has brought forward.
Okay, you're moving it, and Deputy Mayor Giroux, are you seconding it, or a comment?
I have a comment. I cut myself off before I should have. I wanted to ask Peter. Peter is responsible for Kevin, and I wanted to ask Peter if he's there. if he sees any problem with this. Peter Lawson.
Peter, there you are.
Yes, good morning. Through you, Mayor Martin, I don't see any issues with the bottle drive. I think it would save quite a bit in our recycling and be a good thing for the community.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll see. Jenna, we'll try and work through this. And Councillor Pomeroy had something there. I need a seconder for this motion. So Councillor Pomeroy seconded it with a comment. Did you have a comment, Barry? Oh, sorry. Okay. All right, then we'll work through this through these technical things today. But anyways, so we do have a mover and a seconder that we refer this to staff, and we'll try and get something going here, Jenna. So it'll be with Peter and Kevin to try and work out the logistics of it, and it'll be a good chance to see how it works.
Okay, you tell me what you need me to do.
Okay, all right, well, you can work with Peter and Kevin. So we do have a mover and a seconder. Is all in favor of this motion? And that's carried. So yeah, work with staff there and see if you can get it going, and let us know anything that maybe is working or isn't working for the future, because it's something that could be good for all the organizations in the future.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Jenna.
No worries, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too. Okay, we have move into our second. We'll move into our second delegation here, and that's Jason Hamilton regarding a road allowance purchase. I think he's just connecting now. Still connecting, Jason. There you go. I think you're connected now. If you unmute yourself.
Thanks for the tips. This is my first time doing a Zoom.
Okay. Welcome. You wrote a letter in regarding a road allowance?
That's correct. I'm looking at purchasing a piece of property on Long Lake. The piece of property is a long, slim piece of property, and I was looking at purchasing the road allowance to allow me the 100-foot setbacks so that I could position a cottage in a certain location on the property. Yeah, that's the gist of it.
Okay, then. I don't know, with the road allowances, usually we have to go through them pretty thorough just to make sure that we're not closing up something that could cause us problems later.
I understand.
So I think today's meeting would be to whether council would support referring this to staff. Bob, go ahead.
That's correct. Through you, Mayor Martin, staff is recommending today that we receive the delegation. There will be a staff report to follow. So today is for a preliminary introduction to Mr. Hamilton's application. Okay.
All right. Was there anything else, Jason, that you needed to add to that? We did receive the letter, and it was a pretty thorough explanation of what you were looking for, but it would go through staff here and see if it's possible to do this.
If I could just add one or two other points. I believe I did send through some overview maps showing the road allowance and the geography that's there. And if there was a site review, obviously that would be great, because people could see that there are wetlands and big rock cliffs that kind of block the view in other areas. What's the other point that I had? Maybe that the councillors could understand, and maybe John could speak to this from the building department or someone else. But I believe when these lots were developed, they were actually 50-foot setbacks at that time. So whenever they actually developed these lots, keeping in mind where they wanted to put the cottages, there were different setbacks in mind at that time. That's why they weren't considering putting a cottage back in the corner of the bay where this lot is. They were talking about putting it out in the point, but then of course the setbacks went back to 70 feet and 100 feet. So just to keep that in mind, I thought that a little history there that would help understand the lots. And also the unopened road allowance. I believe I wrote it in there, but just so people do know, it goes back into the woods. It abuts Crown land on the east side, and it goes back into the woods, into a large marsh, unaccessible by anybody, and then hits the lake on the other side. So as far as a road allowance that for people to use, and there is no actual public access to the lake unless people come up the railway tracks, which technically isn't legal. But anyway, that's it.
Okay. All right, John, did you have anything to add to this, or on staff's perspective?
Good morning, Council. Thank you, Mayor Martin. Laura and I will have a look at this and print it out. And yes, like Jason says, when the lots were originally created, the setback was 50 feet. It's now gone to the 30 meters or 98 feet. So where we can get more setback is definitely beneficial for development. But we'll have a look at it and come back with a thorough report to Council so they can have a better look at it.
Okay. What's Council's thought? Deputy Mayor Giroux?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know how much time and process and money it's going to take to look at this, but I want to caution Mr. Hamilton that we've had a long-standing, perhaps not written policy, but policy in this council that we do not sell road allowances that enter into the water. So I just want you to bear that in mind. And I'm not in favor of this township spending a lot of money on the process for someone else. It involves a great deal. It just doesn't involve going back and looking at a piece of property, whether we want to sell the road, that portion of the road allowance or not. There's the landowner next door that has to be involved. It's a big process. So I just want you to bear that in mind.
Okay.
Thank you for your input. And am I okay to speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that input and that understanding. I am understand that there will be some financial costs, and I'm willing to participate in that. And as I mentioned, on the neighboring property is Crown land. So I don't know if that makes a difference. I understand that they generally have to talk to both landowners to approach them both to see if they want to split it down the center. I'm aware of that. I don't know if that applies whenever the adjoining landowner is Crown land. There's Crown land on two sides of this property. So I do understand that and can appreciate that, but I'm willing to participate in whatever payment has to be made to move forward. And I realize it's not really straightforward and easy, but if I could get any help, I would be happy to move forward.
Well, that's great and wonderful, but on the other hand, you have got a letter here that says that you are in the process to purchase the property, but you really don't own that. So we don't know whether that's really going to go forward or not.
Yeah, I have an agreement of purchase and sale, and it's the condition is in my favor. I can remove that condition at any time. And the landowner that's there now, the owner has agreed to work with me on this, and you know, he's happy to help in any way. So certainly, if if it was something that council said it was mandatory that I own the piece of property, then I could certainly close on the piece of property, and then move forward from there. It's yeah. So
yeah, I don't think this is gonna. Sorry, Jason. Yeah, I don't think this will affect like your purchase of your property, because even though it's a shallow lot, there's always ways of building, and it probably won't hold you up. But like John said, this is the only reason we would even think of looking at it is your setback. You probably, I'm not sure if there's enough setback for you to build with a rezoning, but if it's an established lot, usually people can find a place to build on an established lot. But we do prefer them to be back. So with this being a property that's touching on the water, like Deputy Mayor Giroux said, we don't usually look at those ones necessarily the same as we look at one, and the value of them will be totally different from one that's in the middle of nowhere with no water on either side, because it is market value for the property. So there's a lot of things to look at here, and like Deputy Mayor Giroux said, we don't want to spend a lot of resources on it, but it can be looked at, I'm sure here, John, and I'm just not sure on the timing here as far as if you're going ahead with the purchase, because this could take some time because the building department's busy. It's one of those things they look at when they get a chance type of thing. John, go ahead.
So Mayor Martin, we do have it, as Deputy Mayor Giroux has stated, it is in our official plan, the township official plan. We do have a section in there that addresses the sale of unopened road allowances. So that would be part of the report that the planner would bring forward to council to assess whether this is something that we could deem as surplus land and whether council wants to go in that direction.
Okay, Councillor Ellis?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to receive the delegation and refer it to staff. Thank you.
Okay, moved by Councillor Ellis that we receive the delegation and refer to staff. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Pomeroy? All in favor of the motion? Okay, well, Jason, there you go. It will be referred to staff, and they'll look at this as they get a chance here and see what we can do.
Okay, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right then. So is there any other delegations here, Bianca, that have requested to be on the agenda?
No, I haven't received any other further delegations.
All right then. So we'll receive those we've received those delegations, so we'll move into out of delegations into staff reports for information. Is there any questions with regards to these reports for information that we have here? Barry?
Yeah, I'm going to ask about the fire department. The number of calls, 48. 40 of them are medical, which, you know, has concerned all of council all along. I'd like to know the time frame that it takes to do all these little medical calls. Some of them are frivolous, some are needed. I think maybe Deputy Mayor Giroux inquired at the last meeting something, but if someone calls in for a headache, you know, should we go? You know, like there could be frivolous calls here because there's two agencies that are involved in this, and it seems like it's an awful cost to both agencies, like our fire department. I don't know how you make the decision, but there has to be some of the ones that you both departments don't have to be there, like the fire department and the paramedics. I don't know how you figure it out, but there has to be some time, and I'd like a time frame on how much time is spent on each call. You know, is it only 5 minutes or is it 10 minutes? Does the ambulance get there sometimes before we do? Those are, you know, some of the questions that I would like to pose is how long is it? Are we at those 40 calls?
Okay, Ray, do you have anything for that?
Probably, I would say an average, by the time we get on scene at the call, we could be there anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, depending on the nature of the call. I would like to bring a report to council about some of these calls, but I'm probably will be in like a closed session.
Okay.
Okay.
And we do, if we get paged to the call, we are mandated to go to the call.
Yeah. that's one of the things, because of our slow response for paramedics. It's been one of those things that the county's appreciated the fire doing that part of it. But Art, and then was there anybody else that had their hand up? Art, go ahead.
Yeah, do we, Ray, do you actually log how much time we spend at each call? So say you went out today to 2 or 3 calls, would you have like a, you know, whether it was an hour and a half or 30 minutes, like do you do that for each call, or is it just?
Our medical calls, it was set by council way back when that it's a minimum of 1 hour per medical call unless it goes over that hour.
Okay.
But it is not 1 hour minimum. So
how many, like say of that 40, how many would we be under the hour and how many would be over the hour? Is it pretty even?
I would say most of them would be under the hour.
And by under the hour, would it be under the half hour?
I would say probably 50% would be the half hour mark, roughly.
So to Councillor Pomeroy's point, we are probably dealing with some frivolous calls here. Thank you.
Okay. Larry?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I had a conversation with Chief Haynes a while back about some other issues. And in the conversation, we talked about a few years back where the EMS medical staff answered the majority of medical calls, not fire department, and something changed there. But maybe if we're going to have a closed session meeting regarding issues or topics for the fire department, we could talk about that there at that time. But there was an issue or something changed a while back, Chief Haynes, where at that point the medical department or the EMS department handled the majority of my medical calls, and there was something took place there, and then that changed, and now the fire department handle a lot of the calls. So maybe we'll give that to Chief Haynes for some thought, and if we're going to have a closed session meeting, we could maybe talk about that at that point.
Okay. Is there any other questions with regards to this or comments? Okay, Ray, like, yeah, that's some of the things, like I know it's complicated between paramedics and yourself, and these medical calls are something that kind of outweigh the fire by the looks of it. Every month we have a lot of them, but that being said, it's pretty hard over a call to pick out which is important and which isn't, so we have to do them all. But if you could bring that forward in a report that you're preparing, that would be great. Is there any other questions with regards to this? Okay, and any other reports that were for information? If there was no questions on them, I'll look for a motion to receive all these reports for information. Moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, staff reports for follow-up action. Peter, you're going to be on here with regards to the Old Norwood Road drainage improvement.
Yes, the council, we have a tender in front of us as a report, and yeah, very happy. It's came within budget, and it's a company, a well-known company. They've done quite a bit of work for the township of Havelock in the past, and very reputable company.
Okay, all right. So this is something with regards to the ditching and hopefully eliminating the problem over there in the winter when we have ice. Councillor Webb?
I'd just like to make a comment that $137,000 is a heck of a lot of money to be solving this problem. I thought when we got into this, the numbers we were throwing around were somewhere in the $50,000 range, which really I thought that this was an issue that the landowner should have solved. I think the drainage issue came from when the house was built, and the fact that we're putting this kind of money into, you know, solving problems that I'm not really sure this is a problem we should be solving. You know, I kind of went along with it at the start because, you know, maybe we could meet them in the middle and the price was somewhat lower, a lot lower than it is now. But when we start throwing around numbers like $137,000 for, as I said, I've spoken with other people that are builders, they say that it's the same issue, that the land wasn't graded, and the reason it floods is because, you know, it just wasn't graded properly when the house was built. So I'll just leave it at that, but it's a lot of money for, it could open up a lot of doors in the future for us, put it that way, and not good doors.
Okay, I see Wenlin's hand up there. Wenlin?
Hi. Yes, the project was budgeted last year at 150,000, not 50,000. 50,000. So it is a carry forward from last year, and that was the amount that was estimated by the engineers at that point last year.
I understand that's what we budgeted for, but there was also discussion that it might be done for less. I know the supervisor of infrastructure had a few ideas where he thought we could save some money. So just because I'll go back to one of Councillor Pomeroy's favorite points. Just because we budgeted the money doesn't mean we have to spend it, right? And in this case, I think we're spending way too much money on a problem that's not really ours to solve. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions with regards to this? Okay, so Councillor Giroux, or Deputy Mayor Giroux, sorry.
I understand Councillor Webb's concerns. They're my concerns also. I had a problem when we did that last year. I realized that the homeowner over there was very upset, and I realized that the houses that we're building around them perhaps contribute a lot to the flooding. So I understand where he's coming from. And as it stands now, unless we change the building policies or our land use policies, there's never going to be any more building over there, because the 3 lots were sold off the farm and there isn't any more room. So I take consideration and great appreciation for Councillor Webb's comments. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. All right then. So we have a recommendation here, and I appreciate what you're saying there. It is something we discussed, and this was one of the solutions to try and help the issue over there. So, Councillor Ellis.
Well, there's some great points brought up here, both by Councillor Webb and Deputy Mayor Giroux. I'm wondering the comment that was made by Councillor Webb, where the Director of Infrastructure had some ideas about a way to control another possible issue happening. For all the time it would take to have that discussion before we start writing a check, that it might be worthwhile before we accept this recommendation to have that conversation before we make this decision to, as I say, write the check for $150,000.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, go ahead here. There was Dave, and then there was Councillor Pomeroy. Go ahead, Dave.
I wasn't changing my mind. I was just appreciating Councillor Webb's thoughts. We've already paid an engineer to do this, and to redo it, we're going to have to pay an engineer again. I'm not changing my mind. I'm just voicing my thoughts, and I appreciate Councillor Webb's concerns on where we're spending our money. That's all.
And I would, well, thank you, Deputy Mayor Giroux, in the same way. This is something that, unfortunately, I guess I committed to somewhat. I guess I can always change my mind. But we did tell these people we'd correct this problem, and that's what we're going to do. I'm a man of my word, and I believe the rest of council is. So I'm just, as I stated, think the cost is quite high. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Giroux.
Okay, Barry, go ahead.
Yes, I think if we don't go ahead, we're in a legal position against us. We've already made a committal. In fact, if water had went in his basement this year, I think they could have sued us. But I think John Smallwood might be able to fill us in more on this, because he was involved when we didn't have people in the right positions, but he undertook the other hat that he was wearing at the time and helped us out. So if John could give us an update on that situation, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, John, do you have anything to add to this, and then we'll move on?
Yes, so I'll just be very, very brief on this. Moving forward, to try to resolve these issues so they don't happen again, it would be worth looking at when lots are severed, that it be a condition of severance that drainage or grading is part of that. The problem is these lots were already created, the houses got put in too low, and then there's no place for the water to go. So even had the houses been built higher and this house wasn't flooding, it still would have flooded the road. So we're resolving the issue of road flooding as well as the issue of water onto these properties. And when we did look at it with the engineer at the time, we did look at different solutions, and this was the most cost-effective one at the time that they could come up with.
Yeah, for what it's worth, last winter I went over there with a contractor from the area that does a lot of this, and his suggestion was exactly the same as what the engineer requested here, or said that we should do here, is to go take it where we're taking it. Whether it's going to solve the problem, I don't know, but it will get rid of the water at the road edge and take it away. But Peter, go ahead, and then we'll move on.
Yes, just to follow up, I did speak with John Sales with the engineering company there on Friday. Crow Valley has signed off, so that's we have their permission. The MOE has been submitted. It was submitted back May 17th. He called just over 2 weeks ago now. It still hadn't been reviewed, so John Sales was going to follow up with the Ministry of Environment to see where the permit is at with the ministry. But as my thoughts is with John Smallwood as well, that there might need to be some grading in on the property as well to help the situation along with our ditch. But that would be something to, yep.
Okay, so we do have a recommendation here, and I'll look for a motion here. Deputy Mayor Giroux.
Thank you, Peter, for your work on this, and I will move the recommendation.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux that we go with this recommendation on Old Norwood Road. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pomeroy. All in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Okay, well, thank you, everyone that was involved in that. Next action report is Simpson Road, or the surface treatment on Simpson Road. Peter?
Yes, yes, the Public Works is bringing a recommendation forward to council to leave that North School Road known as Simpson Road as gravel. If the daily traffic counts and so on, it seems to fit, and the Dubber, our neighboring municipality, is the same standard level of. So it just seems to kind of fit, I guess is the word I'd use.
So last year we put the money in the budget for that. I just wonder, have we talked to Duro Dummer to see if they, I know when we did it the first time, we were hoping that we were going to partner with them and they would do their end too. It did seem kind of senseless to have one end hard top and the other end dirt. Have we talked to them since then to see what their intentions are? Because I thought they were supposed to be on their rehabilitation on the 12th line. They were going to be hard topping it, and I thought they would have done Simpson Road at the same time, but I see it's still dirt right now, so I don't know what's going on over there. Have we talked to them at all, Peter?
Not that I'm aware of, Jim. No, I haven't myself. I'm not sure if Ryan has, but that might be something to consider before we do make a decision, but.
Yeah, I totally agree with you as far as, you know, like if there's no sense in hard topping it if they're not going to do their end, but just before we took it out of the budget, I wonder if we should confirm with them that they're not going to be doing their end, and then we have a reverse situation. The money is in there right now. If we could hold it till budget, the money in there without taking it out of there, just to confirm where they're going with that road. Because for the property owners, you know, I know myself, once you've got a hard top road and then you go back to dirt, it's kind of a hard thing to accept. So, but I totally agree with the staff. You know, if there's nothing going to be done on the other end of it, we might as well leave it dirt, and maybe we can work out a joint agreement as far as the grading side of it. If they're doing theirs or we're doing ours, we can come up with a solution that we don't have to go there, especially just to do that little section, or they don't have to. So I don't know what council's thoughts are. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I traveled that road quite a bit in the last little while to see how our surface treatment went that we had taken out and how the grading is going. And I see, and Peter may want to speak to this, if we go in and surface treatment that particular patch of road now, that's not a very long stretch, we're going to be into some ditching, we're going to be into some fencing, we may be into a lot of stuff. And if that's the direction of council, that's fine. But it doesn't really fit the other portion of the road, as you already spoke to, Mayor Martin. And for now, as long as, and I know they will continue to grade it. And actually, it's a better road now than it was when it was surface treatment because it had all broken up. So I did speak to one of the property owners on the road, and as long as we grade it and keep it dust suppressant, I don't think we're going to have a problem the way I thought we would if we took the surface treatment out of there. And I know we don't have a written agreement with our neighbors to the west, but I think in the snow plowing, for instance, I think Peter will explain to council that perhaps don't know that, you know, whichever plow gets there first, we keep it open, we keep it clean, and so on. And the neighbor, the property owner, before that had a problem with the trucks turning around at their driveway all the time. So this works well, and I think it will well. But I do agree that for now, if we leave the money in the budget, and if Duro Dummer decides that when they do the 12th line to do that portion, then I guess we'll be into the fencing and ditching, because there's no sense of putting surface treatment on that road unless we're going to ditch it properly. That's my comments. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Was there any other comments or questions? Gwendolyn?
Just a comment that the budgeted amount was to come out of federal gas tax, so that will just stay in federal gas tax unless there's another project that comes along.
Okay, that's good. So we do have a recommendation here that we don't surface treat Simpson Road to the boundary there. Councillor Pomeroy? You're muted there, but I think I know what you're saying.
I'll make a motion to that effect that we go with the staff recommendation and saving us a few bucks. And to Deputy Mayor Giroux's points, they're well taken because we're into more than what is really on paper here. So I think the route that Peter is recommending would be the way to go.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Pomeroy with the staff to go with the staff recommendation, and seconded by Councillor Ellis. All in favor? Carried. So, all right, thanks, Peter. Next, we'll move into, and I don't know whether you might want to listen to this one too, Peter, but, oh, sorry, Dave, go ahead.
This may be off topic, Mayor Martin, so if I'm out of line, you just let me know. I wanted to ask Peter a question that pertained to our last council meeting that he was involved in but wasn't at the meeting. And that was a decision that I helped make in regards to the 6th line and Preston Road. And I'm not happy with my decision because I don't think I had all the information. And if Peter could take, with your permission, Mayor Martin, and with council's permission, if he could take a couple of minutes and explain why the engineers and himself decided to take option 2. And we actually, as a council, when we made that decision, the way I see it, we took on the responsibility of an engineer, and I'm not an engineer. So if they designed that and we paid them to design that, and we didn't take their option, and that puts me in a position where I don't feel very comfortable. Where if anything happens now, I didn't take the recommendation. I changed it. So with your permission, Peter, can you give us a 5-minute, 2-minute synopsis on what actually happened back there?
One problem we had, Dave, there is I talked to Bob this morning about it. We did forget to put that on the agenda. We kind of left it out there. So I'm just wondering if we could come back in other business there, and then Peter can maybe get his stuff together. You know, you can maybe find any of the decision. I don't have it in front of me, our decision, but I know we possibly messed up there. From what I've heard since then, we might have been okay, but I just wonder if staff needs time to get anything together for council before we go into this. If not, we can do it right now. I don't know what your thoughts are, Peter, and like I say, Bob and I talked this morning about doing it in other business, but wherever it works best for you, Peter, if you're comfortable doing it right now, that's fine.
It completely up to you, Mayor Martin. I'm comfortable in speaking to it now, or we can do it in other business as it was portrayed. That's fine.
Okay.
Forward, that's fine.
Okay.
Bob, what's your thoughts there?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, I think it would be appropriate to fit this in under our other business, and we will have a thorough discussion then.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, then. So we'll do that in other business, Dave. Thanks. Yeah, it was something that we missed. So with that, we can move into the Connecting Link Stormwater grant with Gwendolyn. You want to speak to the...
So we've been in discussions with the county and Plan Mac, and I wasn't totally involved with the decisions that were made with Plan Mac way back last fall of 2019. So just further information, apparently the cameraing, the CCTV was approved at a 90% township, 10% county split back in the fall of 2019 is what is my understanding from the county. So that $16,285.56 would be 90% ours. So with the extension of the Connecting Link funds, it's not a set deadline to apply for the Connecting Link, but as soon as the money's gone, it's gone. So the quicker we can get the grant application in, we can hopefully get approved on that portion of it. So we can't overlap the Connecting Link application with the ICIP. So we would have to carve out any stormwater or any of those other items on Highway 7 Connecting Link items of infrastructure from the ICIP. So we can't double dip. So I'm looking for, I don't know what the total cost will be because Plan Mac's gonna help with the technical data of the application. So I don't have a firm number of what it will cost, but looking at the Connecting Link grant application, we can definitely apply for stormwater sewers along Highway 7, as well as potentially that Mary Street Highway 7 reconfiguration. I know it's not on the MTO's financial plan for the next 5 years, but we can apply up to a maximum of a $3 million grant, which would be 90% funded by Connecting Link if we were approved. So I'm just looking at moving the yardsticks ahead and working with Plan Mac and Peter and Ryan and the rest of the staff to put together an application that could be potentially accepted and get some of those issues corrected.
So it sounds good. Has everybody else been involved in this, Gwendolyn, or is this just something you picked up on? And
well, I had looked at the connecting link details after Councillor Pomeroy had brought it up at previous council meeting. So I was reading in there the different components. So I did pose the question to the county and Plan Mac, you know, can we do this? And then that may save dollars on the other side of the ICIP if we're successful, because that's a different funding percentage.
so when does this have to be in by then?
As soon as we can get it in would be best, because there is no specific deadline.
Okay, so like, because you're gonna have to talk to the other parties about what exactly is involved to get more details to make the grant.
Yeah, so Plan Mac's done quite a bit of the engineering and design already. So
Okay.
he's agreed to help us get the application in as quickly as possible with the county.
Okay, Dave, you had your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Martin. I would like to move the recommendation with a comment that council approves the closed circuit television video CCT work. We would have that. We would have the data at our disposal once it's done anyway. So that's why I'm moving the recommendation. I think it's a good recommendation, and I think we should take advantage of it.
Okay. All right.
We know the extent of work that has to be done there, and I think this is a good way for us to perhaps achieve it.
Okay. All right. So we have a mover, and Councillor Webb, you're seconding that. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Oh, Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said before, I've stressed, you know, we have to make application as soon as possible, because these funds are going to run out. They come on a first come, first served basis, and when the money's gone, we're gone. So we have to get our act together as soon as possible.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. All in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move into Laura's report, request for proposal for planning services. Hi, Laura.
Hi, thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. This report is to ask that Council allows me to publicly circulate an RFP for planning services for the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. Basically, when I started here, I realized that we do not have a current contract in place. So we're just kind of going on case by case planning. And I just wanted to tidy things up, get a planning contract into place. And to do that, an RFP should be circulated so that we can invite other applicants to apply for it as well. We will be advertising on the website, through social media, and also in the Havelock Rail. So there's no extra cost for the advertisement, and we're hoping to have this closed on September 11th so that we can have a planner or a planning firm. We have invited DM Wills to apply, by the way, but we can have them in place by the end of September so we can go forward with that.
Okay, all right then. Any questions from council? This is something we've discussed. So look for a motion to move by Deputy Mayor Giroux that we approve the recommendation. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Ellis, any questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you, Laura. And you're on here for a couple things. So the next thing is birthday parties.
Yes, so thank you again. This one is really fun, actually. When the Economic Development Committee met in July, we talked about various ideas for economic development in the township. And one of them that was accepted by the committee was to host a birthday party for our businesses. So essentially, the way that this would happen is we'd put out an advertisement that we are looking for businesses to send us the date of their commencement. We would keep that in a database or a spreadsheet, and every month we would assemble whose birthday is coming up, and we'd go and visit them with refreshments and just a little thank you for being in our township. We love that you're here. It opens a lot of dialogue with our business owners and operators so that we can better serve the business community of the township. So I'm just looking for council to direct me to proceed with implementing this. As I noted in the report, I'm not entirely sure how much money this will cost. There is a budget for economic development right now, but it does require buy-in from business owners. So without their buy-in, we won't spend money, but the amount of money would really be my time, a counselor's time, and refreshments on a case-by-case basis. So really it's not very much, and it just opens up a world of opportunity for us.
Councillor Pomeroy is always looking for ways to spend the council initiative money, and I'll let him speak to it first.
She was waiting for a buy-in from the people that are involved here, Jim, so we don't have to, you know, don't put ideas in some people's heads here that we don't need to do.
Okay. All right then. So, Councillor Ellis?
That's through you, Mr. Mayor. As council's rep at the Chamber of Commerce, the economic development is becoming more of a topic there, and the Chamber is getting more and more involved through economic development. Through your committee,
You're freezing. I hope it's not mine, Larry, but you're freezing up.
The strategic plan, pardon me?
Yeah, you're freezing up, Larry. I hope it's not my computer, but we didn't catch much of that, or I didn't catch much of that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. As council's liaison for the Chamber of Commerce, our economic development topics are frequent there. My question to Lori is, or to the Economic Development Committee, how often do you refer to your strategic plan that the township paid big bucks for to put in place? Do you refer to that or utilize that plan?
Okay.
So,
Art or Laura, what?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I've had a quick review of the strategic plan. This falls in line. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't give you the exact sections that it falls under, but maybe Councillor Webb might be able to add a bit of input. If not, I mean, that's okay. I can come back with another report on that.
Yeah, I can't give you anything specific, Larry, in terms of that. All I can say is that in talking to Laura in the last month, I think, and talking with the rest of the committee, I think the way the Economic Development Committee is going to move is in kind of a different direction, maybe a more forward-looking direction than we've been in the past, with bigger ideas. I don't want to, if you want me to get into it, I guess in the past we've been kind of, with the CIP, we've been kind of focused on, you know, working with local businesses, and we'll continue to do that, but kind of trying to fix them up in a way. Whereas I think talking with Laura, and this I maybe think gets back to the strategic plan for the town at least. The way that the easiest way to float all boats is to bring more people here. So for us, it would be to focus on the development, the new housing development that's coming, all right, and try and put a lot of our focus there in terms of moving that forward. I know we've had discussions like that here with council, all right, we've been dragging our feet. We've been talking about this for a year or two, and I understand that there are barriers in the way right now that are kind of hindering us from moving forward in that direction, but hopefully in the very near future, those barriers will be removed. And like I said, moving forward, at least from my perspective, and I'll let Laura speak for herself, but we had the discussion with this with the committee. The goal is to kind of get that development going, to bring younger people, families to this community, to help this community grow. I think the housing development in itself will help in terms of the tax base, but what I would, at least from my point of view and what I'm hearing from other people in the community, is they would like to see more family oriented age people, I guess, moving here, instead of, you know, like as of now, we have more retirement people coming from Toronto. We'll always have those people. What we need to draw in for the town is younger people, working people with families that want to come here and raise their family.
So with regards to this recommendation here, it's more for something that economic development was talking on doing. It's not really on what economic development's direction is going to go. That'll be something that'll come forward. I think, like Larry said, with strategic plan, I had said to Bob, we need to bring out our strategic plan and review it, because we did do a strategic plan. Economic development has their own mandate through the committee, and it probably wouldn't hurt to bring it out too again and review it as a group, and start to move on. This idea of a birthday party idea on their anniversary dates or whatever, that is a nice idea, but I think moving forward we could just receive this and then get something going as far as the direction that we're going. Like Hart said, we've been talking about a lot of things and not doing things, so we need to bring our strategic plan out. That was developed at the beginning of the term to give us direction, and it's been a long time since we've looked at it, so I think we need to take a look at it and review it and see if it's still where we're at now. I see Councillor Ellis and then Deputy Mayor Giroux's hands up. So Larry, go ahead.
It was just a question. I didn't intend to prolong the discussion here. It was just a question. I think this is a great idea. Also, at one time, years ago, we used to have what they called a welcoming committee with a new business started, not an anniversary or a birthday, but the new business, welcoming the new business. So maybe that could be part of a discussion with the Economic Development Committee. But I would make the motion that we approve the recommendation here so we can get carried on.
Okay, yeah, moved by Councillor Ellis. Deputy Mayor Giroux, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. I appreciate Laura's enthusiasm on this item, but I like to defer it till I have some more information. So.
Okay, well, we have a mover for the recommendation. First, is there a seconder for this? Does anybody want to second it? If not,
Whoa.
Councillor Webb?
Yeah, I'll second it. I just don't know. Is there information that Laura or I could provide in terms of what Deputy Mayor Giroux needs to know? Or
well, I just I think that for me, I don't think that's a mandate of this council to take staff time, and Laura says it's not going to take hardly anything. But for the last 4 years or better, every time that there's a recommendation that comes forward, we need more staff, we have to have more staff. I've always supported that. But to take, we don't know how many businesses are going to apply to be part of this. To take that, to take staff's time to log it, to organize it, and then to go out and have a celebration on their day. We have no idea what we're getting into here. So I really don't agree with it.
So I think that's what this recommendation is just to see what kind of buy-in there is from it's not really implementing it yet as much as seeing what kind of buy-in. If I'm not mistaken, the way I read the last line of it is it's to see what kind of buy-in we have from the businesses and whether it's something to pursue. But Laura, if you could help us there.
Sure. So thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. When I took this job on, I and part of my position is economic development officer, as you know, I wanted to open up a really strong course of dialogue between myself and the business community. It's difficult to know what direction businesses need from the town without having that kind of relationship forged already. So this would give me an opportunity to get to know who's in our community. The actual celebration would probably not be longer than 30 minutes. Just a quick go in, shake hands, say congratulations, provide some coffee and some treats, and then come back and just document, you know, did they have any comments about what they're looking for from council, from the town? Is there anything that we can do to improve their business from the township's perspective? So maybe they bring up something about taxes, or they bring up something about wait times for permits, or anything along those lines. We have that information then, so we can use it, collect it, use it, analyze it, and move forward with programs in the future. Going forward, there are piles and piles of economic development programs that we may be able to implement. And if we already have a relationship built with the business owners, it just makes it that much easier to move forward with them.
Okay, thank you. Was there any other questions? I do have a mover and a seconder on the recommendation here. Any other questions? I'll call the question then. All in favor of this recommendation? So, all right, that's carried. Okay, we'll move on to internet service and tourism kiosk. Laura, you're on again.
Thank you. You're not done with me yet. So this is to present council with two different options, seeking direction for internet services at the tourism kiosk on Highway 7. Bianca came up with the idea of having public Wi-Fi at the tourism kiosk, and when we discussed it at the Economic Development Committee meeting, it had a lot of pickup. Everyone was pretty excited about that. So there are two options. One, that we proceed with the purchase and installation of internet services for 6 months, or we proceed with the purchase and installation of internet services for 1 year. I am recommending option 2, that we do it for 1 year. We have a lot of community members who come up, perhaps they're cottagers, they still come up in the winter, the fall, the spring. We also have residents who may not have access to internet. So a year-round service would provide people with that. And the prices that are outlined just under financial impact.
Okay, all right. It's yeah, Wi-Fi is a big thing around this township now. I've had several calls with regards to it, but what's council's thoughts on this recommendation? Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the six months, if you decided to go that way, the kiosk isn't open for at least 8 months of the year. And who's looking after it? Is it the chamber or is it the council? You know, like it's in the chamber booth and it don't open till, after 24th of May. So, and it's closed in September. So to me, a year contract is not feasible in my estimation.
Yeah, that's what my thoughts were in the beginning as far as to get it rolling. We don't have anything there right now, so 6 months is probably better than nothing, and then review it after the 6 months. But Deputy Mayor Giroux, go ahead.
I guess, Mayor Martin, you took the words out of my mouth. Is this if council so decides that, and I'm going to ask Councillor Ellis a question eventually. He's our liaison to the chamber. This has been discussed for 10 years. So Councillor Ellis, where does the chamber stand financially? They can't have their own internet. Every time it seems like the chamber wants something, they come to council and the taxpayer. We've provided a tremendous amount of money over the years. So is this something that we're going to continue on year after year after year? I just don't quite understand that.
Okay, Larry, can you answer that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, as anybody that's been part of the Chamber of Commerce as a liaison knows, the Chamber financially have no income. They rely on membership. And that's one of the things that they have struggled with in the past. And it's one of the things they're trying to change presently. New membership and encourage new businesses to be involved. That's where they get their income. At the start of my association with them, they had a budget after paying their spring bills of $1,800 to manage the chamber for the year. Not much money. And so there is a push on. There's a large change happening there with the new members that have got involved. They're exciting people. They're business people, retired, some of them not. But they bring to the chamber an exciting economic development look for the chamber. The Wi-Fi there, this summer we were lucky enough to have a local business that was close enough to let the chamber piggyback off their Wi-Fi. And the students they hired this year, for an example, are students that are technology-wise students. They're putting together different programs and plans. They're tracking all kinds of different things because they have access to the internet there now through the Wi-Fi from the other business. So I see this as just a real plus for them. I agree, probably the first step would be a 6-month plan. But as far as how they operate, the only income they have is if you become a member. And again, there's a push on to try to get new people to be involved. You don't have to be a business to be a chamber member. You can be a chamber member for 20 bucks. $100 if you're a business. And what they're trying to develop there and what they have developed is exciting. And if you're not a member of the chamber, I suggest that it's a good thing to be involved with.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Follow-up, Dave?
Yeah, my follow-up is thank you for your comments. And I realize that they don't have much money. I was the liaison officer for a term, and it's a struggle. But we still come back to the taxpayer. The chamber is a business-driven organization. So all I want to know, if council decides to go this route for the 6 months, as Councillor Pomeroy suggested, is this a 1 year or are we going to take this on forever? Because I don't think the taxpayer is going to want to take it on forever.
Okay, thank you. Hart, you had your hand up, and then Barry.
Barry's first.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I have to respect Deputy Mayor's comments because I was going to make some of the same ones. I know you sat on the committee, Mr. Mayor, and I did previous to that. And the attendance was terrible. And the people that did join, they joined for one reason. You could get insurance or something cheaper if you were a chamber member. I don't know how we change that, but the whole thing of it is you have to have the people to raise the money to do these things. And I echo back to Deputy Mayor's point there where, we can't rely on the taxpayer all the time neither. This is driven by, you know, chamber members. But we don't have, they haven't been established long enough to make a bank account. So how can you finance something not knowing that it's ever going to carry itself? And it's not a budgetary item in our budget. So I you know, I sympathize with them, but show me some numbers, get back on track. And I realize that everyone there probably is trying to do a terrific job. And as Councillor Ellis has said, they have some new members, new ideas. Let's come up with some new money.
That's well said. They're very, I think like Larry said though, I know we say it every year, but there is a lot of excitement down there at the chamber right now. And, you know, maybe it's the last kick at the can, but there does seem to be some excitement in the community. And I know the kiosk there seems to be busy for the most part. I don't know the hours of it as far as if it needs that many hours, but there seems to be a lot of visitors there. I'm sure Hart sees a lot of that. But Hart, you had a comment?
Yeah, yeah, just to your comments, Jim. I think the kiosk has been busier this year. I don't know if that has to do with more cottagers being around because of the COVID. But I too am bothered by the cost of it. I'm for the internet. I think it's something that the town needs in terms of tourism and giving them an outlet to use it. My question would be, Larry commented that the chamber is piggybacking off a local business at the moment. Is there a possibility that we could look into a partnership with said business possibly? So if we're only going to use it 6 months a year, we could, you know, make a deal with them to piggyback off it for those 6 months, and instead of maybe paying $1,000 a year, we only have to pay $200 or $300 to use it for the summer. I don't know, or I guess my question to be with Bob too, would we be allowed to do that? Would that be legal? So.
Okay. Bob had a comment there, and then.
Yeah, well, through you, Mayor Martin, to answer the question from Councillor Webb, I don't believe there's anything illegal about that. We can certainly partner with the business community if they're willing to partner with us. We'd be happy to explore that. The comment I wanted to make was just to emphasize and stress that the Wi-Fi will be available to the entire community. It's there for everyone to use who does not have internet access or Wi-Fi access. So it's not just a business item, it's for the entire community. Just to clarify that point.
Okay. Dave?
Question through you, Mr. Mayor. Does the library have Wi-Fi for our community outside?
Bob?
Through you, Mayor Martin, I believe, I'll defer to Councillor Palmer and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the library does have Wi-Fi and it is available to the community.
There you go.
Barry, is that right?
Yeah, I really can't answer that question. Like, I know I sit on the committee, but Wi-Fi but I would imagine that they do. In fact,
yeah, as far as I understand, the libraries both have it from what I've heard. But anyways, it's Larry, go ahead. I think he's froze up there. Or, yeah.
Just one last thing to add. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I'm unstable right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway,
you might have to cut your video off. Sometimes the video takes away from it. I don't know, that helps on some of my meetings, but go ahead.
Anyway, just one last comment. Again, we're always cautious when we're spending taxpayers' dollars. It's not a huge amount. And as I've stated in past council meetings, the chamber is working very hard there to make a change in the appearance and the support that it can give to tourists as well as the municipality. And looking at it that way, I believe it's a little bit of money that's well spent. I'm going to have the Chamber of Commerce team of representatives come to council this September, probably our last meeting in September, to give you an overview of what they've accomplished over the summer and what they plan for the future. I think council will be surprised of what they've accomplished there this summer. So I am in favor of the 6 month, and I would make that motion that we approve the Wi-Fi for the chamber for 6 months, and council can prepare all questions that they need answered when the chamber comes to a council meeting in September.
Okay, Bob, can you help me with that? Did we have a mover and a seconder, or is that first? Is that the first mover? I thought we had.
Through you, Mayor Martin, that was the first mover, moved by Councillor Ellis.
All right then. Councillor Pomeroy?
Question.
Yeah.
You're going to have a meeting in September. You're going to have a representative come. Let's see what the report is in September. We can defer this till December. And I like Councillor Webb's idea where maybe you can piggyback. There is other options. So I would like to see us wait until we have some more information.
Okay. Yeah, like that's Art, you had a question there or a comment?
Yeah, well, kind of to Barry's point too, in terms of I guess we're only at the start of August, but I mean, realistically, we have what, maybe a month and a half left here. I take it the chamber will be using that internet service, through the rest of this summer. So why would we be signing up for 6 months of internet service when we're going to be turning it off a month from now? So to Councillor Pomeroy's point, maybe if we wait a month or two and re-examine this, because I think there are definitely some more cost feasible options open to us.
Okay, so Larry, go ahead.
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor, then I'm willing to change my motion to defer it till our September meeting, and hopefully we'll have the chamber come to present their reports and all the data that they've collected over the summer, and we could further discuss it there. That's fair enough.
So a motion to receive this report and defer it to we meet with the chamber. Moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Webb. Any more questions? All in favor? And that's carried. So we'll defer that or just receive that report, and we'll talk with the chamber and get some updates from them. So thank you, Laura.
Thanks.
Thank you, Laura.
Right.
Thanks, Laura.
I think that's it for you on this one, but so next we're moving in. Bob's got some reports with mobile canteens and permits.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, we have 2 more applications for canteen permits. One for a business called Totally Fried, and the other for a business called Piggly Wigglies, both located on Highway 7. Just to comment to council, the recommendation here is that these be approved on condition of satisfying all the provisions of the bylaw 2008-42. Totally Fried has satisfied the conditions of the bylaw. Piggly Wiggly has not yet. There are still issues of an outstanding building permit. Both have paid for their license. There are outstanding issues regarding MTO permit that is required. So we're bringing this to council. We are attempting to work with these businesses on a goodwill basis to support local business, but there are some outstanding issues.
Okay. There was a tie there, I think. So I don't know. Dave, go ahead, and then Barry. Go ahead, Dave.
Unmute yourself.
You're muted.
Thank you for your report, Bob. They pay for their permits and they're running. They are actually in operation, but we do have issues. Are these issues going to come back and bite us in any way? Are they health issues, or are they, I don't know what kind of issues they are. So if you could explain those issues to me, maybe give me a better understanding of why that they haven't been issued their permits.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, again, to reiterate, the outstanding issue with Piggly Wiggly is there are outstanding building permits there. I believe there's a shed being built at the back. Building inspection has been to the site. We are continuing to work with the property owner there and the business owner there. But that remains outstanding. The MTO permit remains outstanding and is still in process.
One more question, if I might, through you, Mayor Martin. When it comes to mobile permit canteens and the permits, is this listed on our fees and tariffs to be dealt with in the future?
We can certainly list it on our fees and tariffs bylaw, or we can choose to deal with it separately. The application fee in this case, they're $500.
I just asked the question. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's in the bylaw or something is where it came from. Is it not, Bob?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you're working with these people and you made the recommendation, and if things are proceeding, I can't see why we wouldn't approve the recommendation. We don't want people leaving town, setting up somewhere else.
As long as things are progressing, I think you're right, Barry. As far as if they're still working through this, the big thing is that they're not just going to sit on it until the end of the year and then not be around next year. So as long as staff's comfortable that they're working through the process here, I think it works, as long as it doesn't come back and get us later, as far as some are abiding by the bylaw and some aren't. So I know there's some MTO things that go along with this that are a problem. That could be holding them up too. So, so the recommendation here is to authorize these permits or issue a permit. What's your thoughts? Do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Pomeroy, seconded by Councillor Webb. Any more questions? All in favor? Okay, carried. So next, taxi license taxi application.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. This is the annual application from Deal Taxi. They continue to run 5 vans on the street throughout our township, and they're applying for their annual license.
All right, Barry, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the recommendation.
I see a hand there with Hart there. Is that a seconder or is that a question?
You're muted, Hart.
You got a hand up there, Hart. I don't even know how to do that. I can't hear you.
I'm just learning how to use this.
There we go.
Okay, go.
Sorry, to Deputy Mayor Giroux's point from the last item, I believe I've raised this definitely last year, if not the last 2 or 3 years, every time we come to this taxi license in terms of the fee schedule. I see him laughing up there, so I know he's heard it before. But I mean, can we get this brought around finally here? Because, you know, $50 is a little cheap to be running a cab company, I think. I think a medallion in Toronto is a little more than $50. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that's something like, you know, as far as the recommendation here that we have, that might be something to add to the recommendation, that it comes back to our discussion on the fees and tariffs. You mentioned it last year.
We can add that to Deputy Mayor.
We have several.
The canteen.
Sorry. Yeah. Bob, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. I just wanted to assure Council that we will be reviewing these fees and charges. It definitely is time. These are old bylaws. They've been around for a while, and these fees have not been reviewed for some time. So it is time to have another look.
So the idea is to move the recommendation today and bring it up at the fees. And when we have the discussion of fees and tariffs, we have several things that need updated. So who was the mover on that one?
Moved by Councillor Pomeroy.
Okay, and seconded by Councillor Webb. Is that okay with you to add that in there, that we bring the fees up to? Okay, all in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Okay, next we got the number 9, infectious disease policies.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. This is a presentation of 2 policies presented to Council for adoption: an infectious disease preparedness and response policy, as well as a disinfection and sanitation for vehicles, equipment, and tools policy. These policies are brought forward in response, of course, to the COVID pandemic, and also as preparation for the future. Essentially, a lot of common sense things in here. Disinfecting after we use items, driving vehicles, etc. These are live documents that will continue to be updated as processes are presented and as situations arise.
Okay, Art, you had a question?
Yeah, just a question. Very good job, Bob. I see there's a lot of work put into this. My question more is about, so this policy is for Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. This is our policy?
That is correct. That is our township policy.
So then I take it this would differ from Asphodel's policy, Enduro's policy, and other communities' policies, right?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Yes, it would differ in some specifics. All of the township CAOs have been meeting every 2 weeks during the pandemic period. We're all trying to help each other, assist each other. So we are sharing information. We're all adopting these policies, but yes, this is unique to HBM.
So when dealing with especially a health issue, should we not be using the same policy? I don't understand why we would have a different policy for every community when it comes to health. Like, I can understand in terms of operational stuff and stuff like that, but I mean, if we're trying to protect people's health, why would the policy be different here than it would be from in Norwood or somewhere else?
Through you, Mayor Martin, I think generically the policies are the same, as in, you know, wear your personal protective equipment, wear your masks, wear your gloves, sanitize. Those generic issues are the same, physical distancing. The difference comes in very specific operational matters. So perhaps how you're receiving people at the counter or how you're handling money. There are some differences in how people have different comfort levels on how they're choosing to handle those things.
So the directive to make this policy, where did that come from?
That came from public health officials.
So is it the provincial government or Peterborough Public Health?
It came from both, originally from the provincial government and now from Peterborough Public Health as well.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to gauge it. I'm just nothing about, like I said, this report is super and there's a lot of work put into this. I'm just wondering why continually through this COVID thing, these higher level of government and the health unit like to brandish these edicts or whatever, yet don't implement their own strategies towards it. Or, if they want to have a policy, I don't understand why Peterborough Public Health wouldn't put out a policy for all of Peterborough County. And the only reason that I can see them not doing that is to cover their ass in case something went wrong. In which case, we as a municipality would have to take the heat for that. They're the health unit. This is their responsibility. They shouldn't be dumping stuff like this on, our CAO or our staff to come up with public health policies. That's kind of, and this is not obviously directed at you, Bob, but I think this message needs to be conveyed to those at the health unit, Jim, the county, and the higher levels of government, in that if they want to make all these rules and that's fine, but make the rule book too. Don't make the rule and then tell everybody else to draw up the rule book and enforce it and do everything else, because that's what's happening here.
So I think this was pulled from the medical officer of health suggestions. So maybe it's not 100% what you're saying, but most of this is recommendations from the medical officer of health.
Yes, no, but and to that, I'm just saying there's mixed messages here, because I know we won't get into it now, but I mean, the public announcement they made last week in terms of what the rules would be for COVID and masks. I think there was information in there that wasn't released to the public, and I'll just leave it at that. So.
Okay. Dave, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Bob. It is a long report, and so if I ask a question, because it was a long report, I might have missed it. And it is a good report, and I do appreciate Councillor Webb's comments again, because there are different points. I think we all think different things, but I think that they let the municipalities decide what they want to do in a way. So I'll leave it at that, Councillor Webb, but I do agree with some of your points. Bob, because of this policy, we're working with out-of-town people all the time, with engineers and so on and so on. Are our staff prepared to, I know they are, but I got to ask the question, when the Works Department and we have engineers come in from Peterborough, Coburg, wherever they might come in from, are they prepared to, if they don't have masks, to say, look, this is our policy, you need to put a mask on, so on and so on? Are we equipped to supply the necessary safety equipment, health equipment to the people that are coming in to work with the municipality?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. A couple of points there. Meetings with the engineers, and I did participate in one last week, and Peter was on the call as well. All of those have been happening via video conference. Any meetings that are taking place in person will comply with the rules of A, physical distancing, and B, wearing a mask. Anyone who is coming into our municipal office to meet with us will wear a mask and physically distance as well. If they do not have a mask, we are offering them. We have purchased masks to offer. We have also purchased gloves. An example of that would be if someone comes in to use our roll book, they want to look through the roll book, we have purchased gloves for people who may need to flip through the roll book. So yes, we are prepared with personal protective equipment. And this is why this is a live document, because I don't think we could possibly envision every possible scenario, but as things come up, we will develop a process to handle it, and we will add it to the policy. But it's a good question, and we are trying to handle those. With respect to Councillor Webb's thoughts, if I may, I'm not going to speak for Peterborough Public Health. I think the situation as I read it, I'm not sure that anyone was prepared for this, whether it be at the federal or provincial level. So I think a lot of this is being developed as we go. Peterborough Public Health, in my view, has attempted to work with the municipalities and give us some autonomy to deal with some issues. They provide the broad guidelines, such as physical distancing and wearing of masks, and we provide the specifics with respect to the processes that we work with on a daily basis.
Yeah, so it's like this and the next report are things that are changing weekly. So yeah, everything's being developed on the fly. So there will be changes, and I think it's well done. I know Bob and I went out to look at something last week in the truck, and we both wore our masks because we couldn't get 6 feet apart. And it's just a safety thing or a courteous thing here right now, but we're all just trying to do the best we can with what we have. So, so the recommendation here was to approve this report. What's your thoughts? Councillor Webb, you're moving it, and seconded Councillor Ellis. Any more questions? All in favor? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Larry. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All in favor? Now nobody's gonna put their hands up. Okay, carried. So thank you, Bob. And then we'll move into your next report with regards to the formal reopening. And like I said, this is things that are, as we work through, we're trying to figure out this state of emergency. We are still in the state of emergency, and we're working with the neighboring municipalities and all of the county to try and figure out how to come out of this. And the province did help us with some of our questions last week as far as to continue with our meetings and stuff if we weren't in the state of emergency. I think they added some lines into the policy, so we're okay there. So as we have our meetings with the emergency control group, all of these things that Bob has in here will probably change on the fly, but this is as it is last week when he wrote the report. So Bob, do you want to comment on this with regards to opening the office? And
yes, through you, Mayor Martin, it is true that things are changing on a daily basis. When I wrote this report, we had 0 cases in Peterborough City and County. Today, it was reported that we now have 4 cases of COVID in Peterborough City and County, so things do change on a daily basis for sure. As we all know, this pandemic began back in March. We are now into our 5th month of this situation, and I would just like to present to Council a formal reopening plan. We have now, the province of Ontario has announced stage 3 of its reopening plan. Peterborough City and County are now involved in stage 3. Throughout this entire pandemic, I would just like to, if I may, comment for both council and staff. I would like to comment to council how very proud I am of this staff. We have really worked hard, and everyone has put in an extra effort to maintain a level of service that I truly believe has not been maintained in many, many municipalities throughout Ontario. Every day through this entire pandemic, we've had a live person answering the phone. We've been continuing to serve the public, even though we have not been open to walk-in traffic. Staff really has put in an amazing effort, and I really want to acknowledge that. And I'm so very proud of this team. I also want to commend council and acknowledge council. This council did not cancel one council meeting during this entire pandemic period. And I know that when this began, many councils throughout Ontario, one of their first steps was to cancel council meetings and put a halt to business. This township did not do that. We have continued to carry on with business. We've had a few things that have had to wait because of their Zoom meetings, etc. However, for the most part, we have continued on with business. So I think staff and council should both be commended for that. We are proposing today that we carry on. We started back at the end of June, receiving the public on a by appointment basis. We were one of the first townships to do that. It has been working very well. It's been very successful. We've received lots of positive feedback. To my knowledge, we're not getting any complaints about this. We've even gone so far as we did a wedding. We all had our masks on. It was a different kind of wedding, but it was done. But people that are coming in are meeting with us. They're putting their masks on, even if they're meeting with us through the window at the protective glass at the front. We're putting our protocols in place with whatever situation arises. It is working well. We are concerned. We're dealing with the public health information that we've been given. So we would like to maintain the by appointment process. As we look forward, we're seeing the return of school that may cause a spike in cases. We're seeing the possibility of a second wave. We're hearing from public health that, of course, flu season is coming. So we're just preparing for those things. And I think for the time being, we can carry on with this process that has been successful, and we will continue to monitor it as we go along.
So some of the things, you are getting the glass adjusted. That was one of the issues we have as far as the front counter right now. Yep. So that's going to be taken care of here, hopefully this week, or that's what I understand. So yep. There's, like I say, there's a lot of things on the go here. I see Norwood's going to start today doing their by appointment, where we've been doing it for a while now. So it has been working pretty well. I wish the province would have done as well as us, because if you try and get a hold of any provincial offices, good luck. It's not going to happen. So anyways, they will get a hold of you eventually within the week. But anyways, so these ideas here will be on, they'll be changing. We have a meeting this week, and we'll get all the updates in, and then we'll see what everyone else is doing. But what's council's thoughts here? I'll open it up. Councillor Webb.
I was just wondering, do we have, if we're not opening the office to the public right now, do we have a goal date in terms of, is it by September 1st or Labor Day that we would have it open? I'm just wondering because everything else is opening up, like restaurants are opening, but we're the only, like, you know, and we should be open too, I think. So I'm trying to think of a reason if somebody comes and asks me why we're not open and all the other stores and restaurants are open, what my answer would be. So if somebody could help me with that.
Well, through you, Mayor Martin, no, we do not have a specific date in mind with respect to walk-in traffic. I do want to emphasize again, we've been open for business the entire time, and we've been serving the public. So we've never been closed, unlike many other municipalities where nobody was around and nobody was answering the phone. So we are open for business. We continue to be open for business. With respect to walk-in traffic, one of our concerns is, of course, physical distancing. We don't want to get into a situation where people, you know, you may get 4 or 5 or 6 people come in at the same time. We don't have, you know, you're going to have to physically distance 6 feet apart. We don't want to get into the grocery store scenario where people are lined up out the door because they're trying to keep their space, especially as inclement weather comes upon us.
Oh, I understand, but I'm just saying we're in the service business too. And in terms of, to me, it would be very simple. We could put something on the door that would say no more than 1 person in at a time. And if you wanted, we could put stickers on the ground outside the door for people to wait. But for us just to close off the office, I'm already getting the questions as to why it's not open now. And I understand, yes, we are ahead of Norwood, but I don't compare myself to other communities. Havelock, we should be a leader. And in this, we should be a leader too. So I can't see why, if we have the glass up and the glass gets fixed and the people are told that they have to wear masks to come in the building, why they can't come in and be serviced.
So we're, like I say, to have a date, we can say we'll review it next week if that helps. That we can say we'll review it.
Why can't we do it right now? Why? What is the health risk to doing it right now?
Because we're trying to work with everyone, and we're all working with the public health unit to see what's safe. And at this time, this is what most are doing. And we're not alone here as far as the gas stations and that. I understand, and the grocery stores, they were essential service through the process, and I think we've done well so far, and we are getting there. I think that's just we can say we'll review it next week if that date helps, but because we're going to be reviewing this. This could change, but
do you think it's right that we could walk into a restaurant and order a hamburger, but I can't walk into the municipal office to pay my taxes?
How many people are going to those restaurants? I'm not.
Quite a few. There's quite a few going out.
Okay, well, we don't want to get into that. We're just looking at for our office right now.
Not everybody's cowering in their closet.
Okay. So Larry was first, unless you have something to add, Bob?
Just a quick response to Councillor Webb's comments. Councillor Webb is correct. We could put markers on the floor 6 feet apart and have people waiting and lined up outside. As I stated earlier, that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. It's fine on a beautiful summer day to have people standing outside waiting to come in. But as the weather turns on us and it gets cold and it gets rainy, we don't want to have that for our citizens. We would prefer that they call us ahead. We know you're coming. You walk right in. You're coming at 9:30. You come right in. We let you in. You get your business done. It's far more efficient. Nobody waits outside in the cold, and everyone's getting served. And we are open for business.
But that is an option, and that's what we're discussing here right now, Hart. We can put lines outside, and that was one of the suggestions, is either by appointment or a controlled meeting where they can stand outside and come in. We can have a thing on the door that opens it up, and because we can only let 1 person in at a time, that's all that can come in the office. So
That'd be great. I'm just amazed by the pushback on this. I'm just trying to have a conversation. I'm just saying other businesses are open, but for some reason we have to take a lot more precautions than everybody else does. I'm not understanding that.
Okay, Larry, go ahead. And then was there anybody else?
Without prolonging this, we just listened to a great report here from our deputy CAO, our acting CAO, Bob Angioni. He's putting staff first. Well, I'll leave it at that. I think it's great advice.
Over the constituents.
I think we should listen to what's been recommended.
Okay.
Okay, Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with the way Bob has set this all up all the way through this pandemic. And the people that are complaining, I don't know what they're complaining about, because if you phone, make an appointment, you can be seen. You can make your other payments at the bank, or we got a new drop box outside. You don't need to be in the office. We've got a system going, I think, that works well. And if one person gets infected in our office, the whole office is gone. You know, like you.
But that can happen anywhere, Barry. If one person gets sick at the restaurant, the whole restaurant's gone.
Yeah, they won't do.
Listen to what you're saying. You're putting yourself on a higher pedestal than everyone else. Somehow that we here as municipal workers and council are more important than somebody that's out running a business down at Tim Hortons or serving coffee.
So why are the rules different? Thank you, Howard. And I know everybody's got their own opinion on this. We've seen it on TV. There was 10 or 12 people showed up down in the city of Peterborough to say that masks aren't needed. And most people on there were saying that this was just selfishness. So, Bob,
well, actually,
what do you have to...
Just so you know, there's a report yesterday from the whole country of Holland doesn't wear masks. And all their top doctors are telling people that masks are harmful. So, and you can laugh, but
okay. Well, we're looking with Peterborough,
without knowing what you're really talking about.
So let's just work with what we have here. We're not working with Holland. We can work with the states too if we like, but I don't think I want to go there.
No, nobody in Canada likes the states. They just suck money off them. That's all.
So let's just work with what we have. We're working with Peterborough Health Unit here and trying to work with the recommendations that we have, and we can adjust it in whatever way we want. And I appreciate everything that's said. Bob, do you want to finish up here and then I'll call a question?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, if I may just clarify, this recommendation is made for the safety of the citizens of our township as well as staff. This is so people are not waiting outside, they're not congregating, they're not waiting in inclement weather. This is done for everyone's safety. This is not putting staff or council on a pedestal above anyone else. We're all on the same plane here. We're all on the same level. This is done for everyone's safety. I just want to make that clear through you, Mayor Martin.
Okay. And our next thing will be, and I know the county did it last week, is a survey on whether we return to public meetings. They surveyed all the councilors. I haven't heard the results yet. I don't know whether you have, Dave, but they were trying to see whether we go back to in-person meetings and how we would do it, or we continue with what we're doing right now. Most that I've heard from, but it's not an official number yet, are in favor of continuing how we're doing it without having the in-person meetings because of the difficulties to have staff in there. We will see that with our office. There is no way we can have a public meeting in our office. When you see how it's set up for closed session, there is no room for anybody other than council and 1 or 2 staff members, and it's full. So there's to do the 6-foot distancing. We would have to go to another venue, and then that'll be worked out, I think, in the next couple of weeks here. But so I'll move on with here. If anybody has any more comments or questions or would like to make a motion, go ahead, Barry.
I'd like to see us move to another venue so we can have a real meeting. And I don't sure we accomplished something here, but it's still not the same as sitting down and be able to hash things out. This is bare necessity as far as I'm concerned. And you know, the arena is large enough for to do that. I don't know what kind of a job it would be to set things up there, but I can't imagine it'd be that hard. That's just my own.
That's being discussed now, Barry. So I think that'll be our next step, is to try and work that side of it out, or see what council feels on how they feel with what we're doing now. But I totally hear what you're saying. Go ahead, Bob.
Through you, Mayor Martin, we have at least one more video meeting, the next council meeting on August 24th. We have some planning applications that were required to be advertised. I will bring a report to that meeting where we can discuss returning to live meetings and options for that.
Sounds good. Yeah, because they will be the hard ones, is the public meetings, and even at the arena, as far as how there have to be some planning go into it, how we get people in and out of there without passing each other. There's a lot goes to it. So the next meeting, that'll be the discussion, Barry, and totally hear what you're saying. There's a real mix out there, even at the county, as far as missing the networking side of the business. Talking to people live is missing as far as helping solve some of our problems. So we will work through that. But with the recommendation that we have here today, what's your thoughts? Dave?
For you, Mayor Martin, I really enjoyed this conversation. I think everybody has spoke their mind. For me personally, I'm going to err on the side of caution. That's just my personal opinion. But for now, I'll make a recommendation, or I would move the recommendation until at least the next meeting.
Okay. And that's got a date on the end of it. So that's moved by Deputy Mayor Giroux, seconded by Councillor Ellis. Any more questions or comments? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you, Bob. With that, we'll move into correspondence. None of them are listed as action, but okay, go ahead, Hart.
Well, I was gonna make a motion for a 5-minute break, but anyways.
Okay.
We can do that, Mayor Martin, if you
Why
wish.
don't you make that motion, Hart?
Okay, all right, and then we'll wait for correspondence. Okay, motion for a 5-minute break, Mr. Mayor.
5-minute recess, moved by Councillor Webb and seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. So we'll take 5 minutes and then we'll come back and finish up the agenda. All right.
I think he was putting on the hockey game, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Look for a motion to resume. Moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Webb. We're back in business here. So, okay. So we'll move into correspondence. I don't have any action items here, but one of them we had some discussion at the last meeting. Is there any questions or comments from council here? There was some good articles here, or there was one from Lillian Thomas, but go ahead, Larry.
Yes, I guess I'm kind of curious if we're going to entertain a bylaw to control the cat population, if you want to call it that. I was wondering if other municipalities, neighboring municipalities, have a bylaw existing, if we could have a review of it.
And that's probably where it would start, I would think, Bob or John, as far as seeing what's out there. I know we tried this one other time, and they're all over the place. So go ahead, Bob.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. We are in the process of reviewing this, and we will be bringing neighboring municipalities with cat control bylaws. The challenge as we get into this subject matter is, of course, enforcement. But we will be bringing a report forward at a future council meeting, and we will answer all those questions.
So this letter from Lillian Thomas, along with the letter we had at the last meeting, will go into a file and be brought forward then?
That's correct, Mayor Martin.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, through you to Bob. I think, well, and the rest of council, because this has been something that's been brought up many, many times and would come under bylaw enforcement. And with the cat population, you know, you're going to be running cat wild here. Like the guy would have a full-time job chasing cats. And I don't know how we'd handle it, because it's just another person you would have to hire, you know, and there's not per se that many problems. Like if they're individual problems, you know, it's one thing, but to have a cat bylaw we'll have to wait and see what the other municipalities bring back, but it's going to be hard to enforce.
Yeah, as far as the outside, the bylaw itself on, like, we have a regulation on dogs, you're allowed 3 dogs or whatever, like that part of it might be able to come into a bylaw, but the other part of it, you're totally right. I don't know. That'd be interesting to see what other municipalities are doing. So is there any other questions or comments with regards to anything in the correspondence, or we'll just receive it for today? Go ahead, Hart. You're muted. Okay.
From the letter from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, reading down, I don't know, maybe Bob or John could comment on this. The start of the 4th paragraph says, this bill includes proposals that will enable municipal councils and local boards to meet electronically on a permanent basis and allow municipal councils to decide if they wish to have proxy voting for their members. Is this strictly pertaining to building, or what are we talking here?
No, through you, Mayor Martin, the Municipal Act has been amended to allow for the provisions as you see them in the letter. We are reviewing those to make sure we get it right, but that will be part of our report coming to the next meeting to explain exactly what's allowed and what is not allowed. The gist of it is that electronic meetings are permitted going forward, even without a state of emergency.
Okay. It's the proxy voting that I was more concerned with, but I guess we'll get more information next meeting.
Right, and each council will have options to deal with that.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Okay, Barry, go ahead. You're muted.
I'll make a motion that we receive this.
Receive the correspondence?
Yep.
Okay, moved by Councillor Pomeroy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. Do you have a comment, or? Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. So with that, we'll move into activity reports. And I'll start off, let me catch up here. So we have activity that some of the councillors have been up to, or myself. Is there anybody who wishes to comment on these? We did have a police service meeting in there too, I think, Bob, but anyways, anything else anybody got any questions with regards to these, or anything to add? Seeing none, I look for a motion that we receive the activity reports. Moved by Councillor Pomeroy, seconded by Councillor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. Next, we move into other business. And the Deputy Mayor Giroux, you were first on there.
Okay, Council, I'm sure all the Council is aware that the Peterborough County has sent out a notice of public information in regards to the Deer River Hatchery Bridge, the Burnt Dam Bridge, and the County Road 44 cross culverts. The one, they're all of interest, of course, but the one that interested me the most was the Burnt Dam Bridge. And under the Corporation of the County of Peterborough and so on and so forth, they talk about the replacement, the rehabilitation, the retirement, or the repurposing. So I don't think they're going to replace it. I don't think they're going to rehabilitate it if it's going to cost them money, but they would certainly like to retire it. So all I'm making council aware of, keep your eye on this, because that's been a county bridge since day one. The county over the years have received money from the province to maintain that bridge. That bridge is used by many users, Crow Valley, Hydro probably, our local skidoo clubs, landowners, etc. So I just don't want it to fall off the page here. I know the mayor and myself will keep a close eye on a council. And they may be looking for partners such as Crow Valley or such as a snowmobile club. I don't think there's too much wrong with the bridge other than these plankings. But anyway, that was just a concern I had. I just didn't want it to fall off the map. Thank you.
Yeah, and the advertisement's been out there, and I know Round Lake did circulate it with their group up there, and it is something for us to keep an eye on. Last term, previous Mayor Giroux and myself did try to stipulate everything that you said there as far as the money that's gone into that bridge and what it means to our community. So as far as the use and things it's doing right now, I think all we can do is stand up for how it is. There was money put into it. It needs to be upgraded or updated. It is mostly redecking, and we'll see where it goes. There's about 3 or 4 of these bridges throughout the county that are similar uses, and they're coming to the forefront now as we sharpen our pencil for budget time at the county. They're trying to reduce their inventory on some of these. So when we're there, we have to have our county hat on, and it's hard sometimes with some of these things. But that being said, that bridge is important to a lot of people in our community, and we'll do the best we can as far as trying to get the most out of it, or that's all we can do. But everybody should keep an eye on it and listen to the people around it. It's important to a lot of people. It may not be used a lot for traffic, but there is people that need that to access their properties on the other side. So that being said, just we'll leave it at that for now, but just keep an eye on what's out there right now. And then I had some things here. I've had several things, like I've been doing my meetings and stuff over with Monsef and Smith and others, and then the constituents as far as questioning several things. And as we get into budget, some of these things that they came up in the spring, and it was back to docks again. Most of these things are M&R things as far as that dock back there at Kosh Lake. But that being said, if there's anything we can do as far as our meeting with M&R, this is something that probably needs to be discussed with them as far as upgrading it. I was back and took a look at it, and it is in bad shape, and a lot of people are using it. And then the Wi-Fi, I asked them to send that letter to the library board. Comments were that it is, if it's a library and all the other libraries have Wi-Fi, why doesn't this one? It's our library. So I kind of steered that over to the library board, and so I'm sure it'll be a discussion over there for budget time, but we have talked about it with staff and some of the issues they have when they're back there. Would it help them, or would it be a safety thing? I'm not sure, but it's good discussion anyway. So that's all I put that on here for, just so everybody's aware that there is questions out there with regards to that dock again, and as well as several other launches around our township. So anyways, that's all I put that on there for, so everybody's up to speed. Go ahead, Dave. You're muted.
You're still muted.
Thank you, Councillor Plummer. In regards to your comments on the dock at Kosh Lake, it is in bad shape. I don't know whether all of council or not. I know the mayor was circulated from the FOCA, Federation of Cottages of Ontario, through Terry Reese, and I did get a copy of that, and seemed like Terry wanted to start up a dialogue with the Ministry of Natural Resources and perhaps HBM. I don't know where that's at, but I think it's time we take a hard, long look at this, partner with the M&R if they will partner, do something, because somebody is going to get hurt back there. There's no doubt about that. So thank you for your comments, Mr. Mayor.
And that's why we need to make sure that M&R knows about this, because the comments were that we have the library on M&R land and we do stuff there, so they're doing comparators. So it's good discussion, needs to be out there. I just want to make sure everybody knew, because I don't know whether it was copied to everyone, the email that went to M&R. That being said, I'll leave it at that. So go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, I would like to know if Terry's been in touch with Bob to set up anything with meetings, or has he just sent us out all his emails and everything?
I think Bob? He's coming in September, if I'm not mistaken, Bob.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Mr. Reese will be a delegation to our next council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Okay. All right. So is there any other new business? Go ahead, Larry, and then Barry.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. I had a conversation with a resident that's over in the Miles of Memory area again on the weekend regarding the parking there. I understand the signage still hasn't been corrected to help control. I understand now that there is a tow company available, so we all know that. The individual that called me on the weekend and made a suggestion, rather than paying staff to patrol it on the weekend, he said, have you ever thought about using the large pylons in the area where they're parking illegally? So I said I would bring that forward today at our council meeting for council's discussion.
Yeah, okay, and that's why Bob and I went up there on Friday to take a look at it. And the towing company we don't have now, that's what happened. Something fell off the track there. So that part of it would have to be worked out through a bylaw enforcement plan. So, but the signage is ordered as far as getting new signs up there, and there is an issue with how the signs are placed. That's another problem. So, anyways, it is being taken care of, and the pylon or the barrels there was suggested actually on Friday while we were there. So I don't know. We could try that this weekend and see if it helps. It's the crown of the hill that the issue is on the one side of the road there. So they're not supposed to be on the other side of the road. But okay, so
we are going to try the pylons.
Yeah, so that might be a plan there. Peter's still on there. I don't know if he wants to comment on it or if he's been involved in it, but I think he's there. There he is.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, to Councillor Ellis. I did follow up on the new signs that have been ordered, and they're probably not likely to be ready for us until next week. So we're a week out as of yet, but in the past we have put our delineators and cones down there as well to deter and stop people from parking where they're not supposed to. So that's definitely an option that we can go forward with. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Through you, Mayor Martin, again as well, there was some information circulated about the floor at the Lions Center upstairs. I'm not sure what's happening there with that, but it was circulated on the weekend.
Yeah, and that's something, Bob, we were going to talk about in other business here. It's on my next page, but anyway, we talked this morning about that too.
Okay, and one last thing, I know we're requesting meetings with the ministers regarding our long-term care. Is there anything new on that?
Bob?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, we have requested meetings with respect to getting an update on long-term care. The latest information, we do not have a specific date for a meeting. The latest information is that we will be receiving more information, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Sometime this month, we should be receiving information on that file. With respect to other meetings that were requested with M&R and the other players, those meetings have been requested. We received a reply from M&R requesting more information and more detail, which was provided. So we're waiting to hear back from them.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, and there was one other thing there. I'm just trying to find where we talked about it this morning, Bob, about what was the first thing you asked there, Larry?
I was speaking about the pylons a mile of Memory Road, but I believe the topic through Deputy Mayor Giroux was regarding the three-way stop at the 6th Preston Road and that's intersection there anyway.
Okay, so Barry had something and then we could move into that, or do you want to do that first, Barry?
I don't care, whatever you want to do.
Okay, go ahead, Peter, if you want to, and Bob, if you want to bring us up to speed here on the last meeting, what we discussed Burnt Dam Road and Preston Road, and go ahead, Bob.
Well, through you, Mayor Martin, if I may, perhaps Deputy Mayor Giroux could just ask his question again and refresh us.
Okay.
Do I have to do it verbatim, Bob, or can I just mix it up?
This is a test, Deputy Mayor Giroux.
All right, this is a nuclear test.
Yeah.
All right, at our last meeting, we discussed the 6th line and the Preston Road entrance, exits, so on and so forth. The decision was made in the end that I agreed with that we would simply put 3 stop signs there. I am 1/5 of that decision and I will stand by it. I made that decision, but I have been giving it a great deal of thought. I gave it a great deal of thought, and I did some homework on it. I think I made the wrong decision because we did pay an engineer to go back there and help us design, and this has been going on for years, but anyway, to help us design a problem that we felt was a safety problem and it should be rectified. We didn't take the engineer's advice. We just said, no, we're going to do this. So that kind of gave me a bad feeling. So then I did some more research through the help of Peter. I asked him some questions and he put me on a website that I could try and learn some more. And I don't think we made the right decision for several reasons. But Peter wasn't there to give that report, and I put Councillor Ellis on the spot and asked him, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. So I apologize for that. So Peter's here today, and if he could explain to me and the rest of the council why that decision was made and that was presented to council, then maybe I'd have a better understanding of that, of the number 2 option that was presented to council as your recommendation. Is that clear, Peter?
Yes, yes. Through you, Mayor Martin, to answer Deputy Mayor Giroux's question. When we were on site, the throughway traffic comes from the 6th line, goes up Preston Road, going north, and coming south, it comes from Preston Road, goes 6. That's classified as one of our main roads in our policy, which receives maintenance, winter maintenance first, definitely right out of the gate. That's one of the main roads that we plow. We're normally on that road by 5 a.m., if not before. The Burnt Dam Road is more later in the day. It's more around the 11 a.m. in the morning. That was one of the reasons we decided to go with option 2. So when you're coming up out of Burnt Dam, there's a few reasons we decided that, but one of them would be there'd still be snow on the road for the early morning commuters coming up. So instead of having them stop on a grade, they could just keep slow momentum going forward without having to stop and spin and get, depending on the winter maintenance, their winter event, I'm sorry. But the other one, the other main thing I pointed out to you, Deputy Mayor Joel, was the Ontario Traffic Manual in Book 5. It references usages, inappropriate usages for stop signs. With taking that as our kind of our Bible, I would say, as the traffic manual, it says as a stop sign is not to be inappropriate use of a stop sign on a grade. Without a whole lot of work and money to redesign that intersection, we felt the yield coming out of Burnt Dam would be the best option, making the throughway, the Preston Road and the 6th line. The second and third option, the only really difference between those two options is the stop sign, which entails in the third option to make that platform level for the stop sign coming up on Burnt Dam. And then with the extra cost into the fire road at the bottom of the hill at the intersection and culverts and ditching to do that, we felt option 2 was our best feasible, economical plus safe option, as well as the liability factor. If we go with the recommendation from the engineering company, I feel that they would hold quite a bit of liability. If we come up with our own plan, I think we're on the hook for if there is an accident down the road. I still suggest option 2 is our best option.
So option 2.
Option two was the chevrons, the slowing to the intersection. I think we should. It's at 40 kilometers now coming into that intersection. I feel we should put that down, reduce speed to the intersection, chevrons, and the yield coming up at a Burnt Dam. And with that being said, too, we will make that grade as less as possible without affecting that fire road as well.
So it's a 3-way yield?
No, it is just one yield. So there's no stop signs on the 6th line or Preston Road. The only sign would be coming out of Burnt Dam as a yield. So there'd be no 3-way stop, no 2-way stop. It's just one sign coming out of Burnt Dam for a yield.
Okay. So Dave, follow up?
Yeah, I think Peter answered my follow-up question was, when that done and there's work to be done back in there, you said you were gonna, without interfering with the driveway below, we're gonna kind of take the sharpness out of that hill, Peter, coming up on the 6th line from the Burnt Dam Road.
Definitely, yes. We've already done that actually with a little bit, just our own tandems to grade it up just before we have drains come in with our hoppers to spread the road. But we actually have already taken that dip out, that steepness out of that, and we'll take it out as much as we can. And then we will go into the fire route a little ways to make the access entrance appropriate. But yes, it's going to come up some more and make it more gradual for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hart, go ahead.
Yeah, just I'm kind of confused in terms of, I've never heard of a 3-way yield.
It's not a yield. It's just
can you point me to the one where one's used?
Yeah, I don't think it is a yield. It's just to slow down on Preston Road. There's no yield sign going there. It's just slowing traffic down.
No, but I'm saying what you will have if we do that, right? You're going to have people entering off Preston or off Burnt Dam onto 6th line or Preston. the traffic on 6 Line Preston doesn't have to stop because there's no signs, right? So really, you just have somebody yielding to join to that road. I guess I have to leave it to Pete because he knows more about the roads and stop signs than I do, but I find it somewhat troubling that you'd be able to enter onto a road there without a stop sign or just a yield sign.
Okay.
Like I just haven't seen that right everywhere, and maybe he's right. Maybe there's too many stop signs, but in terms of stuff like that nowadays, when I see stuff like that, in terms of a road merging with another road, there's usually a stop sign now instead of in the old days. Yes, maybe there was yields, but so I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
Okay. Did you want to answer that, Peter, or did Dave had something?
Yes, through your Mayor Martin to Councillor Webb. Yes, the only sign for the yield would be coming out of Burnt Dam. There would be no stop signs, no yield signs on the Preston Road for the 6 line there. It's just the intersection ahead at a lower speed limit to slow the traffic down to 25 or 30 kilometers, I believe was in the report. And then coming out of Burnt Dam, again with the grade, we're just, you're right, there is more stop signs than yield signs, but in this situation with the grade and the cost, that's why we chose the yield sign in the coming out of Burnt Dam. That's the only reason we went with the yield, just because we couldn't get a elevated platform, like level, big enough to put a stop sign there.
I understand. I'm just concerned about the safety aspect of it. And to be fair to the rest of council, I wasn't exactly thrilled with the 3 stop signs either. But the reason I asked was about if it was about safety was I thought that would be the safest way. Just in terms of that, Pete, I'm not trying to get into this too much, but so if that was like that, then I'm just trying, I can't picture it in my mind, because what I'm saying, if I go Preston Road the other way towards the 2nd line of Belmont, right? So when Preston Road merges with 2nd line of Belmont, or 48, I guess it would be, sorry, going into Cordova, why wouldn't we have a yield sign there? Because it would be the same kind of situation, wouldn't it?
I think that, I think that comes into your daily traffic count as well. Burnt Dam is I'm not sure on the average daily traffic count right now, okay. But it is a very low volume road compared to entering onto a county road.
So the rules would be different for a low volume road than entering off a.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's just the amount of traffic.
I just didn't know that. I'm just trying to get around it because I'm not. I'm just trying to figure out where 3 roads come together and there's no stop sign or only 1 yield sign.
Yeah, I think both of those roads, I believe, are class 5 roads. So it goes by, again, by our roads need study and classifications. And what the main traffic has the right of way from the 6 line through that Preston, up to Preston Road through that intersection. The people coming out of Burnt Dam are the only ones that don't have the right of way. They have to yield to anyone on the 6 line or the Preston Road going south or north. Okay. So if you're going up the 6 line and want to turn left onto Burnt Dam, it's just like turning left onto a side road, right? Where, anyone oncoming traffic, they have the right of way, then you proceed.
Okay. So it has to do with the size of the road then, or the traffic on, like the amount of traffic on them?
Yes, yeah, it has a lot to do with the classification of the roads, yes. Yeah, and the daily traffic counts.
Thank you. A lot of roads around like that, like Baker Road and North School Road and Church Road, and they're yield signs and not stop signs. So it was just we didn't have all the explanation at the last meeting as far as, so I think we were going the safe route. May not have been the right choice, but we were just looking at safety. So I'm not sure who, Larry, you had your hand up there. Did you want to add anything to this? Or was it you, Barry? Sorry, I know yours. I didn't know yours was about this. So, okay, Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. This thing's been thrashed and crashed around. It would be nice if you could widen the road at the top of the hill coming out of Burnt Dam, so that when you get up on top of the hill, you can at least see who the heck's coming, you know, around the corner. And as far as, you know, going to all the expense of clearing that to the east, you wouldn't need to do that if you can get up to the top of the hill, you know, without, and I was down there and had a look at it. That's what I suggested before, as council, go down and have a look at it, hash it out. And the other thing that you mentioned, Peter, was an engineer's report. Well, they might be liable. Engineers aren't liable. You have to make your own decisions. I mean, sure, they can make recommendations to you, but don't take them to the bank.
Okay.
Another thing that I have to mention too is last Thursday, Premier Ford was on the line, like a call in, and I did call and was trying to get in sequence, but I didn't. But anyway, the lady took my my information, and it was about the long-term care and how we have been waiting for the last 2 years since last February, and still no update. And anyway, she took all this and wanted to know where I was from and so on and so forth. So I don't know if we'll hear anything back on it, but at least I spent a couple hours, well, an hour on listening to other people. He was in Halliburton and Lindsay, but it was open, and Dave Smith was on there with him and Laurie Scott. So anyway, I tried. Okay. And the other thing is that the Minister of, well, Laurie Scott is the Minister of Infrastructure, and any of these projects that are ready for, you know, shovel ready, and we do have a couple, which is like the ozone for the treatment of the well over in the Rotary Park. And I don't know what else, but that one there strikes it. If we're gonna build a subdivision, we're gonna need more water. We're gonna, you know, so the water and sewage things, if we can get some money from Laurie Scott's minister out of that department, if we can, anything that comes out, and you know, we keep waiting. You know, Wendland gets this information too. If it's that important, phone council, because if you got to be on the board immediately, you know, we can have, you know, call me up and say, okay, and call Hard up and Larry and say, you know, here's what we got. You know, we got an opportunity here to put in an application. When the money's gone, it's gone. And not wait for another 2 weeks to come back to another council meeting and how many people have applied and got the money. So that's one of my concerns. Okay. And in fact, I would like to know this David Piscini or whatever it is, Northumberland. What is he? Is he conservative, liberal, or what is he?
Doesn't matter. He's an MPP. He's conservative.
Is he? Okay. No, I just wondered because he's the only one that replied to us. You know, yeah. And I think maybe we should get in touch with our own MPP again and maybe ask Laurie Scott for her support, because she was the only one that came out of the legislature when we took the buses to Toronto at that time. Well, her and Jeff Leal, but the Liberals were in power then. So, but anyway, I would like to have her support if she would give it to us.
So the latest legislation on long-term care is favorable for us as far as because we were already in the queue. So Dave said that is good for us. As far as others, like possibly Selwyn, they may have they'll have a few more hurdles to get through. We're in there already. So hopefully this is, I think like Bob said here, this month something should come out. I don't know, they're on recess right now, so I don't know how that works. But anyways, they did tell us that, Bob. So, but we should finish up with this road issue here and the motion that we have on the floor here. So, Larry, did you want to finish, and then Dave?
I think through you, Mr. Mayor, Dave, Deputy Mayor Drew had his hand up prior.
Okay, Dave, sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's fine, no problem. I'm not sure the parliamentary procedure we should follow here, because I think there was a direction given about the stop signs. So whether it goes or whether it doesn't, I hope it goes, but I'm going to make a recommendation that or a motion, if that's permitted through parliamentary procedure, to go with option 2 and get this dealt with. I think it's our better option. I did go back, and I do agree with Councillor Pomeroy. You can't hold engineers' feet to the fire. But if there was a case, and hopefully there never would be, but if we did go to court and an engineer said no, I recommended something else, that would not go in our favor, even though they're not responsible. That being said, I still believe in option 2, and if it's permitted, I'm going to ask our clerk, the parliamentary procedure, will we have to rescind the other motion, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. The resolution, Deputy Mayor Giroux, if you wish to present it, would begin with rescinding the previous resolution that was passed at the last council meeting and moving forward with option 2.
Just what you said.
There you go.
Can we get a reading of what exactly option 2 is?
Yeah, like I think that's the problem here, is we don't have the,
Do we have
the
that?
wording in front of us for 3 options.
Because to me, what's been described is no different than what's there now. Besides,
Larry had a question there too, so you want to finish the question there while Bob's getting that stuff together, Larry?
Report.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. It's not a question, it's just a comment and for council's information.
Is that the report? Or is that...
No, it's just the original resolution.
Just a minute, Bob, you should mute yourself there for a sec. Just Larry, just.
So since our council meeting where the motion was passed, I took it upon myself to meet with 3 long-term residents one from Burnt Dam Road, 2 from Burnt Dam Road, 1 from Preston Road. We met there and hashed things out, talked about the intersection. A couple of the comments that were surprising, the 2 long-term residents from Burnt Dam were in favor of leaving a stop sign. They had no issue whatsoever with a stop sign coming up out of Burnt Dam Road. Didn't have a concern or disagreement with having a stop sign on Preston Road. So I just wanted to put that out there for your information. Also to Pete, in the recommendation number 2, it was discussed clearing the debris, trees, whatever, at that intersection. So if you're coming up Burnt Dam Road, it's as visible as possible. Now, one of the individuals that live in that area felt that you wouldn't be able to clear a lot of debris out of there because he built a fence there one time, said there's major stone. So I'm just offering that to you as information, but I still agree that that should be cleared as much as possible. I just wanted all council to do that.
All right then, and Bob's scared, so wait. Go ahead, Barry.
I'm still here. Through you, Mayor Martin, we're just finding the report from the last meeting, and we'll pop it up on the screen here so everyone can have a look, and we'll just be absolutely clear of what the options were. You just bear with us for one moment. We will get that for you. This is the magic of Zoom meetings.
Barry had something while you're doing that?
Yeah, at the last meeting too, I made a recommendation that council go back and have a look at it before all of this. And, you know, it would have been great for everyone to go back, look at it, hash it out back there, or whenever. Excuse me. And here we are, we're sitting here taking up hours, and
I did go back and look at it too, Barry, and
I did too. I've been back 3 times.
I could do it one time, so I'm more efficient.
I know.
Me too.
That's why you get the big bucks, Jim.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So, you know, and I think I'm like Dave. I know why we did what we did. I know it was against what the engineer's report was, but I think it was a safety thing that we were looking at, and we did say we aren't engineers, but that's just the way we see it. But go ahead, Bob.
Okay, through you, Mayor Martin, we do have the report available, so we're just going to pop it up here on the screen and you'll see the 3 options that were presented. There we are.
Okay. So option 2 is staff's recommendation. And we chose number 1. Okay, Hart?
So,
You have a question?
so I take it then that'd be the Burnt Dam Road and 6th line would be the throughway, right? Seeing that the yield sign would be on Preston Road?
No. The yield sign is on Burnt Dam, and there's no signs on Preston Road. It's just, so we did option 1. The recommendation was option 2. Dave has a motion on the table here that we rescind our motion and go with option 2. So I know Larry's had some input from some others, and I think you've heard from some others too. Didn't mind the choice we did, but the recommendation is option 2 from staff and the engineer. So go ahead, Hart. I can only see.
But as I kind of alluded earlier, I wasn't completely sold on option 1 last time. I don't mind option 2. My whole problem here is that, once again, if this is being done in the name of safety, I don't understand how eliminating a stop sign and putting in a yield sign is going to make things safer. You know,
Okay.
I just, so.
Yeah. So, okay, I can only see
in which case I would say, why don't you just leave the stop sign there, right, the way it is, and we're not paying anything. Because right now you're paying $9,500 basically to change a stop sign into a yield sign, and what, 5 or 6 chevrons.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm you know, I don't know the problem we're trying to solve here. I was told it was safety, so.
Yeah, and that's what, and I haven't heard from anybody since our meeting, but over the years there has been complaints about that intersection. And that's why it was here, probably, I'm not sure how many years ago, but anyways, is there any more questions or comments here? I can see everyone now. So Larry, go ahead.
Without delaying this any further, option 2 isn't just taking a stop sign out at Burnt Dam and putting in a yield sign. There's other work that goes with that.
Yeah.
So you're not paying $9,500 to take a sign out and put another one in.
No, they're gonna put the chevrons up, they're gonna lower the speed limit and clear that landing up there, or that pad there, for a better visibility line. So, and some of it's already been paid. Some of that $9,500, I would hope, is part of the engineering costs that we've got already, or is that on top of that?
Through you, Mayor Martin. No, I believe that's in the, it's incorporated in the $9,500 on that. And yes, another point I would like to make as well from Councilor Ellis, with clearing that sight line coming out of Burnt Dam to your left, and with the dip being taken out per se, it's going to be more gradual. You will have a better sight line. It will bring the road up, and you will have better sight lines just from the elevation of the road changing as well, as clearing that corner.
Thank you, Peter.
So Bob, with so the mover and the seconder from that motion there, is that how it has to happen, or can we just start fresh here and Dave rescind the motion and look for a seconder for that?
Through you, Mayor Martin. Through you, Mayor Martin, we can start fresh. That was last meeting. So currently we have the motion on the floor from Deputy Mayor Giroux. We require a seconder.
Okay, so we have a mover on the floor to rescind the motion that we made at the previous meeting and go with option 2. Am I right, Dave? Okay. Is there somebody to second that motion? Councillor Ellis seconds that. So all in favor of that recommendation that we, okay, so it's carried. So we'll rescind the motion from the last meeting. Let's get on with it, and we'll go with the recommendations from staff. So thank you, guys. Okay, go ahead, Hart.
I just had one other. Are we done with the road?
Go ahead.
I'm sure other members of council have had comments or experiences themselves. 46 and Tim Hortons entrance. Who do we get in touch with? Is it the county's responsibility? Is it our responsibility? Cars are coming off the highway, Jim, and they're staying in the turning lane because the drive-through is so backed up. So you got cars lined back up onto 46. The same thing's happening out on Highway 7. It's just a ticking time bomb. Somebody's going to get killed there. So I don't know whether it's ours, the counties, whether we need to contact the OPP. But I mean, on an hourly basis down there, there's an incident pretty much where cars are, like if you come from Ontario Street heading west, I went there twice last week. You can't even turn out on the road because you've got cars waiting in the turning lane, 2 or 3 coming from the south, and then you got 4 or 5 coming from the north waiting there to turn it. So that's what I said. I don't know if it's Tim Hortons' responsibility, but something has to be done there because it's a complete sideshow around that place.
You're right. Bob, who do we need to get a hold of here? Is it county? Is it us? Is it OPP?
Yep, through you, Mayor Martin, we will pursue that. I believe it's probably all the players. We all need to sit down and go over this one, but we can contact everyone and make a plan going forward.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Dave, go ahead.
Councillor Webb, thanks for bringing that up. It's been on my list for a while. When I come into town now, I never go that corner. No matter if I'm going to the sub shop at the plaza, I'll go down McLean Avenue. You have to stay away from there because you never know what you're getting into. The other day when I went down, I believe it was last Thursday, there was a transport truck parked on the medium up over the curb, partially on the sidewalk and into Tim Hortons. And the cars were going around to try and get, like, it's crazy.
There was one there this morning, my mom said, Dave, parked right on the curb, turning right, blocking the whole right turning lane onto Highway 7. And he's inside Tim Hortons getting a coffee.
So moved by Councillor Hart that we direct staff to follow up with this and see if we can get some traffic study done on that corner there and straighten it out. Is there a seconder? Councillor Ellis. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, and then the one last thing for other business for future meeting is gypsy moth. That was the other thing that's real hot and heavy right now. There's lots circulating. I've had a few calls on what help we can do. I just said that that's another thing for the list for M&R, because with all the crown land that we have around us here, it is a mess back there. It's going to be really bad next year. So it's patchy though, but it's between Belmont, Cordova, and Kosh. They've been hit heavy with this, and they can tell by them egg masses that are on the trees right now that next year is a write-off. So M&R needs to get involved in this and help us out. They are doing it in other municipalities as far as, I don't know whether it's M&R or the municipalities themselves. The one thing I had circulated to me was from Mississauga. They were spraying down there. But it's a real mixed bag on who wants spraying and who doesn't. So it's good discussion for M&R. If it's not done, it has to be done by next May or June to be effective. Otherwise, it's a write-off. So if you could leave that on the list there, Bob, for M&R, that would be great.
Absolutely.
So, okay, is there anything else under other business? Seeing none, we'll move on to bylaws. And we have one bylaw here with regards to a mutual aid plan with the fire department. It's something we do every year. So look for a motion to move the bylaw. I don't have the number in front of me. Go ahead, Barry. You're moving it?
Yep.
And Art seconded it? Anyways, it's been a long day. All in favor? And that's carried. All right then. I'll look for the confirming bylaw. Moved by Councillor Webb, seconded by Deputy Mayor Giroux. All in favor? And that's carried. And then motion to adjourn. Councillor Pomeroy and Councillor Ellis. All in favor? And that's carried. Thanks, guys. We do have a closed session this afternoon. Yeah, go ahead.
Could I have one item added to the closed session personnel?
Okay.
Please.
Time?
Pardon?
2:30.
You got that? What's that?
I've got it. Yes, it's added.
Okay. And Art, did you have something?
It's at 2:30, eh, Jim?
I had 3 down, but.
Oh.
2:30 is correct.
Okay, thank you. I would have been late.
We can start without him.
Yeah. Go ahead. Start without me if I'm not there.
We get more done.
Yeah. So you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you in a bit.
See what I can do. Talk to you later.